For many modern-day Bat fans, 89 is the new 66. And for many, Ezra Miller Flash did not work. To avoid potential disappointment, I think we might need to adjust our expectations for this movie based on our honest feelings toward Ezra Miller Flash and the 89 verse.
Speed is of the essence.
If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any of our new content. And if you haven't watched part 1 of this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and go back to watch part 1 of the Keaton Multiverse Beyond. Last time I teased my idea for a second scene with Keaton in the upcoming Flash movie, so stick around to the end of this video to find out what it is. Again, 89 is the new 66. For those of us in our mid-30s or older, it may sound preposterous to entertain, but yes, elements of the 89 verse are very cheesy.
Now you want to get nuts?
And do not hold up to modern audiences.
Come on, let's get nuts.
Particularly younger audiences. Much like people in 1989 were looking back on 1966. This isn't to say that Muschietti or Keaton or anyone else involved hasn't considered acknowledging it. I just hope it gets acknowledged.
Look between the lines.
And this also isn't to take away from any love you may have for 66 or 89.
Stop.
I happen to love elements of both, very much, for what they are. I just think we need to accept that neither version is the be-all end-all of the Bat.
I don't know who he is behind that mask of his, but I do know when we need him.
And this fits into my next major point about the Flash film as well as Batman Beyond, and even the Ezra Miller consideration I just mentioned. I want the multiverse to be self-aware.
Not now.
Not take too seriously any single universe's POV. So I'd love to see them play 89 straight, without making too much fun of it. But I would also like for the film to be from the POV of an objective multiverse that's not afraid to laugh at itself, while also being loyal to the source material and not getting annoying with the overuse of meta humor. Marvel. Sorry. Regarding Batman Beyond, I think looking at 89 objectively would almost need to happen.
You see what I have to work with here.
Due to the point of view for that story being the younger Batman discovering this weird old Batman and his wonderful toys. Now, that's assuming we're going with the original Terry McGinnis-inspired Batman Beyond story. Another worry I have for Beyond in this multiverse goes back to the Nick Fury Keaton approach. If he functions as a mentor to Flash, or to the rumored upcoming cinematic Batgirl, then I assume this would all take place before the events of traditional Beyond, which to me might take away from the ultimate story of redemption we get from old Bruce. Instead of him hanging up the cape and cowl for good,
Never again.
until Terry McGinnis, or whoever fills the shoes of the new Bat, now it's Flash and or Batgirl more than 10 years before that. Just because they need a Nick Fury in their multiverse? It makes the story of a younger Batman Beyond character potentially less important, because it should be the lesser known newcomer, the nobody that gets Bruce out of retirement.
Dad?
That new person story is one of the few that would actually get this bitter old Batman to start fighting crime again.
Welcome to my world.
If it's a better known character like Flash or Batgirl, I think it might water down the potency of both the new Bat character as well as Bruce's potential story of redemption. I almost want there to be a live action version of the DCAU where Terry McGinnis could come from.
You've traveled about 50 years into your future.
Either during the main plot of this film or even a cool post-credits tag, you could have an already established Terry McGinnis Batman somehow find his way through the multiverse portal into this world. That way you could completely honor the DCAU without having to worry about casting old Bruce, all the world building and expense of Neo Gotham. And you could keep the movie small enough to stay within the universes of 89, the DCEU, and maybe the Flash TV show. Because why not? If you're not familiar with Thomas Wayne Batman or the Flashpoint storyline,
You're Thomas Wayne.
Barry Allen Flash goes back in time to prevent the murder of his own mother, but in doing so creates the Flashpoint timeline,
Bruce.
in which Bruce Wayne gets killed in the alley, his father Thomas becomes Batman,
Bruce is dead. I watched him die.
and his mother
Why did you say that name?
becomes Joker. Flashpoint is both a huge story, but it's also a small story. It's a huge Justice League story, but it's also super personal to Barry and his loved ones. The emotion that comes out of the Flashpoint storyline is some of the best you'll get from any DC content. Barry Allen letting go of his mother to save the universe, or traveling through the multiverse to bring Bruce Wayne a letter from his dead father.
You're one hell of a messenger.
That line kills me every time. Going back to Batman Beyond for a second, I've heard people theorize online that it could be a cool hybrid of Flashpoint and Beyond, not necessarily a direct adaptation of either, an approach I have no problem with. If you recall from the first vid, I was saying that I'd love for the first act of this movie to have Ezra Miller Flash discover an Edward Scissorhands-inspired dusty relic of a Tim Burton Batcave. So the follow-up idea is for the very end of the third act, and I'll be the first to admit it's not original. I would just love to get the classic Flashpoint type wrap-up. Barry Allen shows up in the cave again, and we get the ultimate,
You're one hell of a messenger.
but from Keaton.
Bruce Wayne.
And I personally don't need to see Keaton out of the Batcave too much. And I definitely don't need to see him in the classic '89 suit. I just think he's too old. If it is a multiverse movie, then it should be a Flash movie first, Batman second.
Hey, this is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, telling you to go above and Batman Beyond.
If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel and share this video with other Bat fans beyond who would also like this kind of content. In addition to this new clip-style series you saw today, we also have a bunch of interviews here on the channel with cast and crew from Batman Beyond, including both Batmen of the future, Kevin Conroy and Will Friedle. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel for more interview content as well.